Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 6, the penultimate round of Open Wheel for Amateurs Season 2, 2023, the Spanish Grand Prix at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, in Montmello, Barcelona. Tonight's race is brought to you by AlienAwards.net and Ninja Botanicals, where we'll have a 33-lap feature followed by a 23-lap sprint with reverse top 10 and reduced points in that sprint event. Ken Huber was the victor with 2 overall podiums at Janvoort, while in the B-Class, Zach Nurnberger edged out Stephen Thompson in the results, with Steve Cubet earning his first heat win of the season in the sprint, breaking Paletti's streak. Paletti has clinched the overall championship outright, and Nurnberger needs just 7 points up on Stephen Thompson tonight to clinch the B-Class championship. Coming into these 2 final events, but the spots for the rest of the podium are still tightly contested. As always, I'm joined in the booth by my co-host, Aaron Claybaugh. Aaron, we're running the quote-unquote historic layout here, which has actually now become the modern layout again as of this year. What's the major differences that the drivers experience in that final sector now?
Yeah, it's a much quicker last sector, and ultimately I think it is fantastic that F1 has gone back to this version, because it really allows the cars to build up speed coming out of the last corner and have that overtaking opportunity, being able to follow really close going into the first turn there. So really looking forward to seeing what kind of action we have with these 14 drivers out here tonight.
Yeah, other than a runoff that is present in the current turn 1, this is exactly what the layout is right now today. So it may say historic circa 95 there. That is not historic anymore. That is accurate as of today. And we'll see how the drivers handle it as they make their way through qualifying now.
Yes, and every driver's kind of on their first lap here, so we're gonna wait and see what the drivers can do. Looks like Ken Huber is already really putting down a good first sector here.
Ken Huber, again, the winner of the overall points last race, where he got 2 podium positions, so looking to continue that momentum and have another strong weekend here. I know some other names that we saw some pretty high up in the practice times. Adrian Garcia-Vigil was a fast time in there early as well, so we'll have to keep an eye out on his performance here in this qualifying session, as Steve Cubet there now steals that purple Sector 2 from Ken Huber. Both drivers flying early in this qualifying session.
Yeah, they're trading back and forth here, so we'll see who could put together the final sector here with a strong time. Ken Huber, I think, is probably just wishing his cable company would have came out a little bit sooner this season, because he has had the pace all season with race contending pace. He just hasn't had the luck of his internet on his side. So I think he'll be a real strong challenger here in tonight's race.
Yeah, he starts us out there with a 1:35.031. Steve Cubet, another strong time, but couldn't quite top him there at 1:35.2. As all these drivers are putting in their first laps, third of the way through this session. Chris Newby, you can see there in the pit lane. The note to note there is that he has a start from the pits penalty from last event, so that is he may not put in the time. That would be the reason why. Kevin Berquist now just 3 thousandths back from Steve Cubet has the fastest time for the B-Class drivers so far.
Very strong lap there from Kevin. He put a really good last sector there together and put a really good time. Another guy I want to keep an eye on here is Paletti, as he's winding down his first lap here. See where he kind of stacks up as one of the leaders of this season.
He's got a couple green sectors, and that was maybe a little wide there. Yeah, that was too wide.
Yeah.
So that probably right there invalidated that lap, and hopefully not this next lap too, because I know sometimes getting those off tracks in the final corner will affect both laps for you.
Yeah, and we see Travis Bell jump up to 5th there. Travis making his debut here tonight for the 04A series and that beautiful Sherwin-Williams paint, looking to qualify for A-Class.
Steve Cubet here, hot off a sprint race win, has 2 and he goes a little wide. Had 2 purple sectors. Let's see if he's able to nail that down in these next couple laps. But unfortunately, that lap there is not going to count. They did have that purple sector 1 there, just stolen by a driver. Ken Huber extending his advantage at the front as both drivers were on a quick lap. And Paul Boyle there, out of nowhere, popping up at the first, and Jeff McDonald just barely behind.
Man, it looks like we might actually have a very close field here tonight. That is a very strong lap from Paul this season.
Yeah, a little bit of out of nowhere there. As Paul Boyle jumps up. Cube was a good amount back from Ken Huber, and now, unfortunately, because of that invalidated lap that was so fast, he's now down to 5th, so he'll have to claw that back with these final. You can just see it right there. Travis Bell had that purple sector 1. That's gone now, so drivers are continuing to speed up through this sector, through this section of qualifying.
Yeah, that dynamic track. It seems like it's putting some grip down, and we're getting to see quicker and quicker times as they go through here.
Let's see what V-Heel throws down. Everybody on a green sector in every sector run so far. Let's see where this puts him. Paletti up to the front of the field with a 133.9. No
That's
improvement for Garcia up there to 4th and 134.3. Travis Bell now to 2nd.
Those Doge Squad boys practice this week. They were doing a lot of practice last night, and it's showing 1, 2, 3 right now.
Again, Travis Bell only in B class just because he has not competed in a race so far this season, actually in either E4A or O4A. So this will be his chance to qualify on his first attempt here into that A class for these last couple events. Couple purple sectors, both by drivers with a yellow sector in their time so far. Ken Huber, potential improvement from 6th up to 2nd there, but still just 600ths behind Nicholas Paletti.
Yep, and the magic number for Travis there is P6. So if he can stay in the top 6, he will qualify.
Jeff McDonald there, 2 purple sectors, but couldn't nail down the whole lap with a yellow sector. Sector 2 ends up putting him in 3rd place, but just a 10th off.
Yeah, it just got a little squirrely through that middle sector for him, unfortunately, and wasn't able to put the whole lap together. So we see Daniel Reel putting his first lap in here. Let's see where he jumps to. Looks like that lap was invalidated, so he'll go around and try again for another one here. That was a very good lap, though, if it would have counted.
It doesn't have a ton of time to get a bunch of laps in here, so he's going to have to make sure he makes no mistakes. He's only going to have time for 2 laps here. He's not going to be able to get in the full 4, but we'll see what he's able to do here late in the session. A number of drivers who haven't put in a time yet. Zach Nuremberger on the track right now hasn't put in the time.
He goes even faster.
Yeah, just edges out that previous time by another few hundredths there, just giving him a little bit more breathing room, but it is still ultra tight up there at the top. Nuremberger rounds his way around the final corner with his first timed lap here, and that is going to put him provisionally in 9th place.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be too happy with that lap, but he'll get another one here to try, so.
Ken Huber, improvements in the first 2 sections, but no purples. Let's see where this final time takes him. This has been, he doesn't need to get that much time extra. Was that a little wide?
He just lost it in the last sector there, just pushing a little too hard.
Yeah, time right there was a 133.9. It was an improvement. It was a legal lap. And if he just hadn't gone wide, he may have been able to save just those couple hundredths to make it there, but he is on the outside looking in now.
Absolutely. And Daniel Reel is getting ready to come out of the last corner here. Curious to see where his time will slot in. His first 2 laps were invalidated, so will he get his 3rd one in here? He had some strong pace in practice, so hoping he can get a lap in here, and he does. I think that's probably just a banker there for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he's not going to have time to do another one. With a minute and a half, he's going to be 10 seconds short or so, I think, from making it to the line. So that may have been the last opportunity for Daniel Real there. Yeah, as he is in 12th, I think he realized he didn't have the time to finish. Zach Nuremberger here, though, does have time to finish his lap, of course, with 1 minute to go and a little bit of a wobble coming through the final couple corners there in Banque Sabadell. Let's see how he takes this final corner in Europe car and if he's able to take it to the line with an improvement in position as Garcia moves his way from 6th up to 3rd place.
Very good for him. And here comes Zach. Let's see what he can put in here.
Zach Nuremberger, yellow sector 3, but an improvement up to 9th. Just a second off the pole. Man, that's how close we've got this entire field here. So no time put in for Stephen Thompson or Christopher Craig, it looks like. And Christopher Newby not putting in a time as he was going to be starting from the pits regardless as the only driver to do that.
Yeah, and Cube trying to practice his pit entry there, loses it and hits the wall. So, and James Foreman loses it. I don't think we're going to see any more improvements. I think we probably have our field set as the way it's going to be. It was hard for a few of those drivers to just get a clean lap. Their off tracks here are very sensitive.
Yeah, especially in that final corner. It's a fast one, and it'll be something that we'll be watching for in this race as drivers try to do their best to make the overtakes down that main straight. As we get the gridding procedure going now, I Did is Travis Bell in the A class now? Was that
Yes, he has qualified one spot to the good there, so he is in the A class.
try to get his entry corrected here as the drivers get ready for the gridding procedure for this first heat, which again will be a 33 lap feature.
Yep, and we'll sit here a little bit since we have an EOL for Christopher newbie. So wait for all these drivers to get ready here. The field's very close. I'm excited to see how this race shakes out. Everyone was within the 2-second margin, and I think once we see the reverse grid for the second race, that's going to make things even more interesting.
Yeah, that's especially the fact that we've got 15 drivers here, so 5 of those drivers are not going to be involved in that reverse grid, and that's definitely going to hurt in their situation. So drivers will be fighting,
Absolutely.
especially at the back there.
Yeah, I think this restart is going to be one of the most pivotal starts of the season. You have such a long run up to the first corner. There's going to be some serious, I think, gamesmanship here with the toe.
We'll see how Nicholas Paletti gets off the start here. He's had a lot of good starts so far this season, especially from that pole position. And he has Ken Huber next to him, who hounded him plenty long during a lot of that race last event at Zandvoort. Both drivers, some of the fastest guys on track, and Ken Huber was the one taking away that event win. Drivers are gridding up now, waiting for those red lights to light up. Nicholas Paletti, they're going to lead him for pole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's green flag go, and Nicholas Paletti off to a great start. Slow start for Adrian Garcia Vigil. Jeff McDonald passes him into third. A lot of movement through the field. No crashes so far. It looks like Ken Huber is going to be able to battle Paletti into turn 1 here.
He's got the line. Will he be able to hold it? No, he backs out wisely, I think.
Jeff
doesn't want to
McDonald's-
risk it. Oh,
Jeff McDonald
wow, that was
staying back
close.
as well. I don't see any collisions further back.
So far, so good. Everyone just keeping it clean, really taking it nice and easy. Travis Bell, the big loser there, down 7 spots.
Yeah, I'm not really even sure what happened to Travis Bell there on the start. It wasn't a wreck, but he has a lot to claw back here as he's now down there into 11th place. Steven Thompson's made his way up 4 spots after not qualifying, and he's our biggest gainer so far.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of smoke further back in the pack. That's just people locking up and just a lot of craziness going on right now further back. Travis Bell is under attack by Steven Thompson.
Yeah, he just made the
Travis,
pass on Steven Thompson, actually.
Okay. Yeah, he's just, I think his tires maybe were just a little cold and he was just taking it easy. Oh, got a car off there. Not a major incident, just an off track.
Yeah, every driver here so far surviving. Christopher Newby's made up a couple spots.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Daniel Reel just sent it in on Kevin Berquist. I don't know how they did not crash there. That was incredible.
Here's the pass for Dan Real. Oh, that is so late into Lakaisha. Locks up the front left. Berquist giving him the room, and it looks like he wasn't able to get it entirely done.
No.
So brave send, but he's all the way around the outside. Yeah, he loses a little bit of grip there and isn't able to take that position, but brave attempt there as he goes into the dust. Oh, and we see that's Steven Thompson, and I think that was Dan Real's car. Anyone else involved in that?
Goodness. Huge pile up. There's a couple cars involved in that one. Oh my goodness. I can't even tell how many were involved there.
Steven Thompson's front wing removed off that car. He's going to be coming into the pits as soon as he possibly can. I don't see any other major damage for any other drivers as Dan Real towed to the pits. Let's see if we can get an idea of what happened here. Went wide. Tank slapper.
He got Thompson there, but luckily that was the only other car involved.
Yeah, lucky to have no one else included in that. He was already hot tires from he went out wide as we saw there in Bonk Sabadell, and Steven Thompson now trying to limp to the pits as that happened as late as it really possibly could, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, and I mean, to his dismay, I mean, it would have been nice to have another car involved there because that would have potentially got him a red flag. It would have been borderline, but we got through that first lap, and Paletti is out front with about a half a second lead over Ken Huber.
Chris Newby up 5 spots after starting from the pits there, so A pretty impressive recovery so far. We didn't really get to see, we didn't even put in the qualifying time, so we didn't really know how much he was going to shoot up the field early on, but he's already in that reverse grid pole position in those top 10 spots. And only one driver out, so that's just a testament to the start of the race for him so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought something was going on back there. We got a close battle right now between Adrian and Steve Cube and Paul Boyle. Those guys are kind of nose to tail right now, so curious to see. Oh,
Cube's sitting on the inside. Is he making the move stick? He's down the inside of Paul Boyle. Paul Boyle can do nothing to defend it as they make their way through the second part of Elf. What a wonderful move there.
Adrian's coming back on Paul here. Paul might lose 2 spots if he's not careful.
Yeah, it's one of those tough spots. You lose a lot of momentum when you give up the position, and he loses the momentum down here into Repsol. He loses it. He's down to 6th place, really to no fault of his own, and I don't think he's going to be able to fight it back coming into seat here. So, yeah.
You thought about it.
Yeah, wanted to be able to fight it, and actually now Zach Nuremberger stays close behind as well. But I know that Paul Boyle has that pace. Was one of the fastest guys in qualifying, especially midway through that section, and just an unfortunate couple of corners there for him as losing out in a battle.
Yep, and Daniel Reel is back on the track after getting his car repaired, and Steven Thompson has also repaired his car. So all 15 drivers still running out there.
It's great to see there. Yeah, Steven Thompson luckily still on the lead lap as well. Paul Boyle is not letting that pass go for him. Right now, Garcia looking in his rear view mirror, trying to defend from Paul Boyle as he's not falling away whatsoever. And it does look like Cube is starting to pull away from those couple just a little bit.
Yeah, Cube got the gap he needed, and he's ready to go, I think, chase down Jeff McDonald. I mean, Cube was very strong last week at Zandvoort, got one of the wins there in one of the heats, so trying to back it up again this week.
Paletti there with a purple lap. Is the fastest lap of the race, but not unbelievably faster than Ken Huber behind. Still just a 1.5 second gap as they're now 4 laps into this race. So is commanding the lead right now, but not pulling away like we've seen at least at a couple other tracks before where we've seen Paletti really just step away in total dominance.
Yeah, and I know this is one of the first weeks that Paletti has practiced a couple days in advance. So I'm curious if the Doge Squad boys here have a strategy with the pit as far as like what is like the good window to pit, especially for the guys in the pack, in the middle of the pack, Paul Boyle and Travis Bell. They might be able to do some undercut strategy.
And of course, you know, the Paletti having the championship already locked up, that is not going to change his approach to this race whatsoever. He is still going to be fighting as hard as he possibly can for this, and definitely don't expect him to go easy.
No, not at all. What a dominant season for him. I mean, to not win, I mean, he's won, what is it, like 8 out of the 12 or 10 heats. It's been insane, his dominance. 8
heat wins, yes. Yeah, 8 heat wins with 3 pole positions, 4 pole positions now as well to his name. So it's a pretty dominant season that has shown a lot of strength from him in that Doge Squad F3 car. So excited to see how he's going to be able to finish out these last couple events. Right now, Ken Huber's definitely matching him through this race, but not doing anything to really catch up all that much. You see there in that previous lap, Ken Huber with the purple sector 1, which still was just 300ths slower or 300ths faster than Paletti in front. Just goes to show how close those two drivers are right now.
Yeah, they're kind of just mirroring each other right now. Kind of just playing that monkey see, monkey do game. So be curious to keep an eye on that.
This midfield battle here is continuing to bunch up a little bit as Paul Boyle still unable to get around Garcia. And that has now brought Nuremberger, Bell, and Bergquist into the fray here with Newby not too far behind. All these guys, if the race were to end now, would be those ones at the front of the field in the reverse grid.
Adrian took some curb there, and he did a great job not to lose much time at all. Still has that gap to Paul there, so kudos to him. But that looked a little wild.
Yeah, the gap's even bigger than it was before, actually. He's just now brought that to over a second. Paul Boyle continues to, he's dropped a few tenths here. You can see just in, 2 tenths there in Sector 2. I just wonder if anything happened, maybe one of those corners just going a little bit deep.
Yeah, possibly that is what happened. I think depending on how these drivers get out of this last corner here, Travis might have a run on Zach Nuremberger.
Yeah, he's caught up quickly over this lap here. So you can see Nuremberger slower by nearly 4/10 in Sector 2. He's going to have a run into Turn 1. Let's see what happens. Bell to the inside. Nuremberger not doing a whole lot to fight it. And I think Bell's going to have this position. So reclaiming the spots that he lost early. Actually, no, a little bit loose on the exit. Great exit for Nuremberger. Just grips the track out of nowhere. Can close off this line here as Bergquist now gets involved. He's going to try around the outside. Bell blocks it off, and they're all line astern again.
Yeah, he almost had him there, but I think just under braking, these cars are just very unpredictable, and unfortunately the car just one stick for him to complete the pass there.
Yeah, it really seemed like he was ahead, had that shoot forward momentum into Elf, but just something happened. He got a little bit loose, I think, getting on the throttle, and Nuremberger just nailing the exit speed in that corner through that second half. It's a tough right-left where either side can really have the advantage.
Exactly, and Bergquist is just sitting back there ready to pounce if something happens. Take advantage of those guys.
You can see here Bergquist closing up in that braking zone as Bell himself closes up in the braking zone to Nuremberger. So all of these guys so evenly matched, but strong in different parts of the track as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you look
that's
at
wide
the
for Nuremberger.
Whoa. Oh, that's going to put him under attack for sure coming down the straight here.
He may have had just enough of a buffer with that corner there. We'll see what the draft is able to do for Bell. Both drivers fast through the final corner, and Nuremberger can't do anything to fight it as they come down the straight now. Bell even faster than before. Surely he's going to get the move done here, right? Stronger on the brakes. Potentially he's slightly ahead coming into the braking zone. Nuremberger's giving it up.
Yeah, you can't really fight that one. He had a full head of steam on him and wants to minimize risk to losing another position to Bergquist there.
And Nuremberger unable to fight back with the switcheroo or any other type of countermeasure into these next couple corners. Not really much of a passing opportunity in the middle of the track, so if you can't immediately get them back, then you're going to have to stick behind. You're going to have that pace. And these are some tough corners in the middle of this track for sure to follow through as they come through Sayat, Verth, and Kempsa.
Absolutely. This track is interesting because it has some really technical sections and some really easy sections. As we see something happen to Daniel Real here, it looks like. Oh, just loops it. That's unfortunate. A good save, though.
And also here was the that move again, getting another view of that pass for Travis Bell on Zach Nuremberger into Elf, turn 1. Stronger on the brakes.
Absolutely. I don't want to give him a commentator's curse here, but Adrian Garcia has been chipping away. Half a second last lap closed in on Cube. We'll see what the times are this time around, but he's definitely closing up and has the paces of the leaders right now.
Yeah, an interesting, kind of result there, too, because it did seem once Cube had gotten past Boyle and then Garcia was able to, it seemed like Cube was able to step away and then Garcia was going to battle with Boyle. But yeah, Garcia's found some really strong pace in this section of the race and catching up to Cube. Meanwhile, Ken Huber, again, in pretty much every sector, matching Paletti, sometimes a little bit faster, sometimes a little bit slower, but not enough where we're seeing anything happen battle-wise, and you can see Jeff McDonald is kind of in the same situation there in that third place position.
Yeah, just can't really go anywhere right now, and that's the tough part. It's just you got to be patient, you got to minimize your mistakes, and hope the driver in front of you makes a mistake instead. I'll tell you who's closing. It's a little bit further back right now, but Christopher Craig is slowly inching closer and closer to John Kelly here. Might see a move. Oh, John goes really wide. Here we go. We got a battle here.
John, and nearly a mistake by James Foreman in the background. Kelly desperately defending the position. No passing opportunity as they come up the hill through Verth here. And Craig is going to have to back off just a little bit and try to make the move possibly down here into Lacaisha.
Hey, if he could stay in striking distance, he'll have the advantage, I think, coming down the straight here. Now, John put a little bit of a gap there. We'll see what it looks like under braking. Christopher Craig goes a little bit deeper, closes that up.
Oh, Adrian Garcia Vigil just made the move on Steve Cube. Actually, Steve Cube losing multiple positions.
Wow!
Netcode collision there as well. Doesn't look to have done anything to Garcia's car, at least.
Definitely did something to Cubase. Cubase.
Oh, he's driving
car-
sideways.
Yeah, I'll have to go look at Adrian here, make sure he didn't get any damage there, but I think he would have missed him. I think that was just iRacing predicting where he was going to go, and it was a little off there.
You see there, Steve Cubey just crab driving into the pits here as he's going to get that repair. I don't know if this is quite in the fuel strategy window or not. It's going to be close. It may not be a horrific result here, but unfortunately, if this is out of that pit window, then that's going to be a pretty big blow to the race.
Yeah, not quite at 1/3 distance, so something to keep note of. And it does look like Adrian avoided damage there. The damage appeared and then went away, so car looks okay now. Are his tires okay? Because he definitely flat spotted them trying to avoid him.
Zach Nuremberger wide there in that corner like we saw him do a couple laps ago with another driver, and Kevin Burke was all over the back of him. But again, that right there is the same spot. It's just not a passing opportunity, but it looks like he's a little leery on that wheel, and Kevin Berquist looks strong, and he kind of has to with Christopher Newby being so close behind.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do through this last sector here, if he can stay close enough. Zach has been kind of getting killed on these straights here, just being in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Oh, Kevin really throttles it back up. Oh, he's got a huge run already.
Interesting shallower line there into the final corner, or the second to last corner, my bad. Kevin Burke was there trying to get some advantage. You can see Christopher Newby going even further wide behind. I don't know if this is going to be enough. Yeah, it's not as much as we saw Travis Bell have.
No, he's going to get right to him, but not quite enough to complete the pass.
All these drivers racing so clean so far. Only a couple of very minor mistakes, but some tough racing so far and a lot of pressuring. But you can see that aero wash. It's not a huge effect as much as it is in some of the faster open-wheel cars, but you can just see it there affect the cars of Berquist and Newby there a little bit through all of Renault. Just a very high-speed, long right-hander.
Exactly, and nothing really going on up front. Last lap, the two lead drivers were within a couple hundredths of each other, so nothing really happening there. Jeff McDonald, the big loser last lap, lost over a second to the leaders, so falling back a little.
Yeah, luckily still in the position that he was in. There in third place, and actually not in too much of a pressure behind, because Steve Cubey's incident that he had earlier, he has more of that gap, so it kind of happened at an opportune time. Nuremberger there just maybe not a little comfortable with rejoining that racing line.
No, Stephen Thompson. Oh, that's going to cost him quite a bit of time. He was still in the running to try to be in that inversion spot, but that's going to really cost him a lot of time. They're losing it through there.
Yeah, he was just 5 seconds back from Steve Cubey, but gets it going without any damage, and probably not too much damage to the tires, but yeah, losing some time there. So we'll keep an eye on that as we start to see these results shake out near the end of this race, with only one driver that has had to really toe to the pits and really out of this race. The top 10 positions are absolutely competitive.
Yeah. We don't know who's going to be 10th. I mean, because it's very possible Cubey will jump those drivers if he can make it on fuel. So, and he's got a clean racetrack right now to put in some really good laps. So be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other thing, is that Stephen Thompson was not going to make it on fuel. Obviously, we saw him have to pit at the end of lap 2, so that they were 5 seconds apart on track, but potentially Cubey not having to pit again. Stephen Thompson definitely will have to. And with Dan Real in the pit lane, may have had an incident back there. Was running in last place after that almost lap 1 incident. Let's see, in Lacaisha. So he just loses control going through and maybe calls it a day there.
Yeah, might just wait till the next race now at this point.
Gets going on the track. He's in the pits though, so may just driven to the pits of his own accord.
Yep, looks like they're jacking the car up and putting some tires on it. So maybe he's just going to go out there and try to hot lap, get ready for the next race. Ken Huber is slowly, when I say slowly, I mean really slowly, putting a little dent into Paletti's lap here. Paletti runs a 135.1, and he runs a 135 flat. So if he can keep taking a 10th out here, that will be enough to catch him. So something to keep an eye on.
Very wide for really Newby there. Lucky to keep it under control. He's going to lose that obviously he had too much speed there. He's going to lose the speed that he had there and drop back from this pair a little bit. He's been testing that track limit there the last couple laps that we've seen him in the background of this battle here.
Yeah, we only have 2 drivers left with 0 incidents, and that's Christopher Craig and Ken Huber. And just to put a button on Daniel Real, he actually went over the incident count, so he had to come in and serve a black flag. That's what happened there.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so that's because there were a couple incidents that we didn't catch as he was right after his first pit that he had made as well. So, and like you said, the track limits here can be pretty brutal depending on the section of the track here, and it's bitten a couple of these drivers so far already. Just 12 laps into this feature race, and yeah, like you said, only a couple guys able to keep it clean. We haven't really seen cars colliding with each other, so almost all of this is off tracks.
Yeah, and this surprises me a little because we ran Red Bull Ring earlier in the season, which is a notorious track for off tracks.
Spa as well.
It wasn't that bad. Yeah. But this one has been really eating the drivers up, and I think it's that last corner that it's continually getting drivers called out here. As we see, Ken Huber now has the gap under a second.
Yeah, real strong lap there for Ken Huber. Last lap for Paletti with 35.12 and a 34.78 for Huber. I mean, that's approaching fastest lap of the race territory. Again, both drivers also very close in that section as well. 134.46 for Paletti and a 134.64 for Huber. So they're matching each other all across the track, but this was definitely the most that Huber's gained, I think, in any lap so far in this event.
Absolutely. That was easily the biggest dent he's put in Paletti's lead. And another thing to keep an eye on is Doge Squad driver Travis Bell is catching up to his teammate here. So something to keep an eye on. It seems like maybe Paul overheated his tires a little, with Bell maybe taking a more conservative approach here at the beginning.
Yeah, Bell and Boyle both experiencing ups and downs in this race so far. Obviously, we saw Bell lose 7 spots at the start of this race, and he's climbed back up to just one shy of his starting position. If he's able to make this move on Boyle, he'll be back to where he qualified. James Foreman just made the move on Christopher Craig, Christopher Craig.
Oh, yeah, that's an incident. Oh, man.
Lock up for those in front, and just
comes around on him. Light tap against the wall, but that was for the last transfer spot. So that was a big deal, and he was pushing for it.
You can see James Foreman was in the background there. That's how because it was John Kelly with the initial pass on him. It came very close. I think just maybe a bit of a panic as Kelly had locked up on his tires just a little bit into that braking zone of Lakaisha, I believe.
And Ken Huber has been getting the tow now, and you're seeing the results of it. Another lap, he was 0.2 quicker than Paletti, so continuing to make headway here as we see Christopher Newby thinking about it, not quite close enough to put a move here on Bergquist.
Yeah, just shading to the inside to get a little bit of clean air to break into. But yeah, not enough to make that move yet. Certainly has the pace to do so, at least from what we've seen in the race. Again, didn't get to see him in qualifying, so we were kind of left to our best guesses on how he'd do here, but currently in that reverse grid front row, but wants to get a few more positions higher, as of course these positions are worth more than the sprint race are.
Yeah, you gotta get your haul of points in the first race. I mean, the second race is important too, but if you have a bad first race, it's really hard to come back from.
And I guess the other thing that we were tracking coming into this race was, of course, Stephen Thompson. He needed to not lose any more than 7 points to Zach Nuremberg's lead. He needed basically a perfect last couple of events, these last 4 races, to try to take that championship lead. So it looks like if things were to finish as they are, and with Stephen Thompson have to pit again, it's going to be very difficult for him to make up too many more positions, I would think. But as long as Zach Nuremberger basically finishes this race on 4 wheels, I think he'll clinch that B-Class championship.
Yeah, I think so. And the sad part is this unfortunate run for Steven has put him under attack for second. If they finish this way now, I believe Bergquist will also pass him for second in the B-Class points. And another battle to keep an eye on is the battle between Boyle and Cube for second in A-Class. And right now, pretty close there. Boyle's going to make some ground up on Cube here in this first race.
Yeah, a lot of things still to shake out here as we are getting close to that halfway point of this feature race, and then still have that sprint race to go. So Definitely don't want to count our eggs before they hatch, but we've got some guys climbing through this field, shaking up the results even more. Of course, Newbie climbing because he had to start from the very end, and he's now up 6 spots. He is as close as he's been to Kevin Bergquist here, trying to make it 7 spots, but just hasn't had that opportunity to really send a move yet.
No, he hasn't, but he's really the only driver that's gained more than 2 positions on the track, so hats off to him.
Paul Boyle here going wide and has to slow down as he rejoins. This is right after Sayat coming into Verth. He loses the position to Travis Bell. Travis Bell up another spot.
Yeah, Travis, I think Travis is a guy to watch out for in the second race. I mean, this is his first 04A race, and I think probably the standing start probably called him out a little, and I think he'll be very strong in the second race.
You can take a look at the start of this race. Take a look at Travis Bell's start, what happened to him. And just a slow start.
Yeah.
Struggling through the gears. James Foreman having to back off because there wasn't room on the left side. And so, yeah, all those spots lost just all the way into turn 1. That was really all it was.
Yeah, and looks like everyone just took it nice and easy. That's really good to see, drivers giving each other room through there and being very respectful.
And this is Christopher Newby as we get right back live to the action. Christopher Newby making the send on Kevin Bergquist. Hadn't been able to make an attempt on the position yet. And his first attempt there looks like he takes it. Kevin Bergquist fighting close behind as they make their way through Renault, but it is a tough follow through this corner.
Yeah, it's going to move him up another spot. I mean, that'll put him, third on the grid next race. So keep going up, keep getting more points. No, as we see, Daniel Real has retired, so I don't know if he'll be back for the next race or not.
Yeah, I would imagine if he was planning on doing the next race, he'd be in the session, so we may be missing that driver there, but we still have 14 out there on track, and of course, a couple of those guys have had incidents, and some dirt actually making its way onto the track there from enough off tracks as well, as you can see.
Yeah, I think that's probably the other spot where drivers are picking up off tracks. As we see Ken Huber, this is the closest he's been to Paletti now. We'll see what kind of... Oh, Paletti coming in. Paletti pitting early. Okay.
Felt the pressure a little bit. Wanted to avoid getting mixed up in that, and thinks maybe he was just giving a little bit too much friendly toe to Ken Huber here. We'll see what Ken Huber decides to do, if he decides to answer on this next lap or if he intends on taking it further, although actually that may not have been all that early, as we are seeing not the entire field, but about half the field so far coming in.
Yeah. I'll tell you, this pit entry, I'm watching these drivers come in. It's very treacherous. If you put a tire wrong, you're going to hit the wall and damage your car. So these guys are really pushing for all they can.
So Paletti exits the pits here and see if he has any issues on those cold tires. We've seen some drivers have issues so far this season. Whether they took new tires or not, just those tires cooling down in the pits can be difficult, but this track definitely has some turns to help you get them up to temperature.
Yeah, and something of note, it looks like Steve Cube right now is going to be coming out right behind those drivers who just pitted, so he will be racing for that 10th position here very closely.
Yeah, Cube just making his way around John Kelly. So, again, if Cube has made his, I don't know, if we're seeing guys have to stop at 17, I mean, that means that they can barely make it as is.
Good point. Good point. So he will probably have to come in again, which is going to take him out of it unless there's some major incidents out there.
I mean, the only thing I think of is that 17 is about halfway, so there was just a number of drivers making that decision as Ken Huber does answer the call. Whether that was necessary or not, taking in that pit stop in the next lap.
Yeah, it looks like everyone else coming in. So I think that was the max window every driver could make it. Now, this will be the thing to keep an eye on. We need to watch Paletti. Paletti's winding through the last corner here. Let's see where Ken comes out. Ken's still in his box.
Tires.
Ken now leaving. Yeah.
I didn't check. I didn't get to see if Paletti took tires or not, but Huber not taking any.
Oh, actually, it's going to be really close.
This is the two. This is the two. This is for the lead. Paletti sitting around the outside. He's got the warmer tires. He gets it stuck. Ken Huber, does he have the drive? I don't think that he does coming through these corners as he's just getting out of those pits. Oh, Ken Huber so close to taking that lead there, going one extra lap. And it looks like Paletti's going to stay ahead for now, at least.
Yeah, now the real concern for Ken is to try to keep that gap as low as possible while he puts some heat into these tires, because these two drivers have just set away from the rest of the pack. I mean, 12 seconds back to P3 now, which is just crazy. Something must have happened to Jeff McDonald to drop him back as far as he has.
Yeah, right there, Paul Boyle was trying to get the move back, or get the position back on Travis Bell, and now fighting with Jeff McDonald into Lakaisha deep on the brakes, or that's into Sayed actually. Even that is not a passing opportunity there, but they're fighting side by side. Paul Boyle staying ahead here.
Someone's gonna have to give.
Jeff McDonald backing out,
and Paul goes a little wide there, but keeps it on, and he'll complete that pass. Ken Huber is in the tow, and he is not losing any more time, so potentially be setting Paletti up here for a move here shortly.
Keep an eye on that as we have a couple close battles here on the track. But Huber almost had that position coming out of the pits, but is also closer than he was at any point during that first stint for sure. Does he have the gall to make a move here? I don't think he will. He pulls to the inside. Is he sending it on the brakes? He cannot. He's backing out of that, just getting some clean air, but giving us a bit of a scare up here regardless.
And the only reason that move was even possible, Paletti had a very concerning exit there, had to get out of the throttle to avoid a potential off track, and that allowed Huber to get the run down the straight there.
So you can see there the time on that pit stop strategy graphic is showing the time in the pit stop. So Huber with the shortest stop of the race,
wow,
with a 5.6 seconds. Obviously didn't take tires. Now you'd have to imagine that then guys like Bell and Boyle also didn't take tires. But with that, 6.4 seconds, does the 7.7 seconds of Garcia, does that definitely mean he took them? We didn't get to see everybody and the strategies that they took.
Well, the interesting part is the drivers that pitted on lap 16, are they going to have to save some fuel? Because 16, if I'm doing my math right, that would put them on lap 32, 33, right?
Yeah, we don't know if they were pitting under total duress or not, but it does look like it may be pretty close here on that single stop. Maybe a little bit of saving that needs to be done. What's interesting here, though, seeing that is this is the pit lane time. So Huber had that faster stop. It did almost nothing for him as far as the overall pit loss.
Oh, Huber goes a little wide there. I thought that was going to be in the sand. I got really worried for him. But he has that extra lap now. He can attack more and put Paletti under pressure if Paletti has to save.
It can be a tool as we get late into this race. We have seen plenty of times Paletti struggling on fuel and not showing it. Definitely not showing it. Not even really that clear from the outside. Of course, lost to first place in the first event of Silverstone at the line through the final corner. So we'll see if it takes it that close this time. But just to go back, the fact that Huber was only 0.2 quicker in the overall pit lane time is very curious, and it must mean that Paletti nailed that pit lane entrance that you were talking about being difficult.
Yeah, that's where you can gain a lot of time, although Ken Huber is just grilling him.
Yeah, it looks like Paletti has the only defense he has right now is just the geometry of the corners, but we're coming up to a passing opportunity here. Ken Huber, a 10.5 back. They're going to be coming down this straight here. Let's see if he's able to do anything to defend into Lakaisha. Ken Huber finding a way. He's going to take the inside, deep in the inside for Lakaisha. Not strong enough on the brakes to take the spot, but that is a tougher passing opportunity than turn one is.
I think trying to dummy Paletti there, see if Paletti would take the move or not and get out of the way, but Paletti ain't yielding. He is defending his position hard, and they have Steven Thompson not too far ahead of him, so that could play a role as this race winds down.
Yeah, I do think that Paletti was probably happy for him to take that spot as it was. He gave, he took the center of the track and said, you either got to take all the way on the inside or you got to try to take it around the outside. So it was good positioning there. Of course, every time you use that, then Huber's going to know about that coming into the next lap.
Oh, Boyle off the track. Oh, that's going to cost him some time and a position.
Loses the spot to Jeff McDonald, and it must be off track there in that final corner as we see a lot of tire marks out there way wide into that DRS sign.
Yeah, it was a long off track. He was just doing his best to keep it off the wall, and he does, but that cost him quite a bit of time.
There you can see the result of that lost momentum. As Jeff McDonald easily sails by down the straight, and Paul Boyle can do nothing to defend it.
Again, a little bit further back on Paletti right now, as we see, it looks like James Foreman and John Kelly battling for an 11th, but that could actually be 10th once Steve Cube pits.
Yeah, exactly. This is essentially, most likely, for the reverse grid position, as we can't imagine Steve Cube making it to the end. So this position is ultra important, and James Foreman has the pace right now on John Kelly, sending it around the inside. They're going to be coming in. He's got to back out coming into this corner, surely. He doesn't. He sends it to the outside. He keeps John Kelly pinned. They come around Sayat. He's still just a little bit behind. Now coming up to another left-hander. It's not going to benefit him. And it looks like he's backed out just a little bit here. Try to set up maybe down into Lakaisha or for the end of the lap here.
And Ken gets a really good run off the last corner. He's going to have another shot at Paletti here.
Right now, Paletti's got a little bit of a benefit of a toe from the Stephen Thompson way up track, but it's not going to do anything for him here. Ken Huber is side by side. Paletti taking the inside, looking like he wants to command the corner here, strong on the brakes. And Huber is behind with Vahil back there with the purple lap of the race as well.
Yeah, and that's a pretty commanding fastest lap. That'll be very tough for Paletti or whoever Huber to topple.
Here's Christopher Newby trying to make the move on Zach Nurnberger. Zach Nurnberger can't do anything to fight it here. He's going to fall down to 8th place, still first in the B class, however.
Yeah, the top 7 now all A class, so the cream is rising to the top.
Zach Nurnberger still in a good position to most likely come out of this, to even this event, with the victory on the B-Class Championship for the season. He just needed 7 points on Stephen Thompson. Trying to run that through my head. I believe he has that as it is right now. If not, it'll be very close, and he may be able to seal that in that the sprint event tonight.
Yeah, Steven's just having a rough race. Unfortunate for him. Although Steven might bounce back in the second race, and if Zach hasn't clinched it, he could fight him back. So we'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be in the top 10 and get the reverse grid, but we have seen guys fight from the very end. We saw Christopher Newby here start in the pits, and he is now up 8 spots into 7th place, and he just made that move into that 7th place spot. So anything is absolutely possible.
Yep, and here comes Ken Huber again. I don't think he's as close this time. He does have speed, but I think Paletti's going to be able to hold him off pretty easily this time.
Huber just giving a little bit of pressure, just making it seem like he's going to go all the way off track to the outside there. And Paletti not flinching in reaction. But what's very interesting there is you see Stephen Thompson actually pulling away, it looks like, at least, from these two guys. So the battling maybe slowing these couple guys down a little bit. And Thompson's starting to fly away from the pair, of course, on a different lap. But just kind of goes to show maybe what's happening with their pace.
Well, Thompson's actually in the top 3 fastest cars on the track right now, so he has got the pace. Just has had some unfortunate events to put him back there.
Yeah, Vahil as well. Vahil has made up 2 seconds since that last lap, I think, on the gap between him and Huber.
Yeah, funny enough, no one has 0 incidents anymore. Stephen Thompson is at 15. I don't know, again, what the incident limit is. I'm pretty sure it's close to that, so he'll have to be 16. So he'll have to be very close not to get another incident.
Yeah, we saw, however, last event, Stephen Thompson had a really rough feature at Jean Vort. Had a lot of incidents, especially in Hugenholzbach. We saw that. And then he came back and crushed it in the sprint race. He took everything he learned from that feature and ended up getting second overall in that sprint race. So obviously we'll have to keep our eye on that and see if he's able to take advantage. Another little bit of a wide run for Ken Huber.
Yeah, taking that extra track there is going to benefit him. Paletti takes the inside again, so he's committed. We'll see if Ken will hold it on the outside this time. He's not as close.
It's worked for Paletti so far. No lockup on the tires either, and it looks like taking that inside is proving beneficial for him. We've seen most people try to stay to the outside, actually, but the inside is working wonders for him so far on defense. And just see how much longer it can happen, and if potentially at any point Huber decides to take it even more inside than Paletti is.
Yeah, and I think Ken has the lap count in mind. He's still got about 8-9 laps left to get this job done, so no reason to try a ridiculous move yet. That's something you save for the last lap or last 2 laps.
And there's Steve Cubay's pit there, proving well short of being in that fuel strategy. Unfortunately, it does seem like the one stop is actually pretty marginal, as it was just around that halfway point here.
Yeah, so if those drivers don't make it, Cube will bounce back to 10th. So that's what Cube has to hope for here.
Yeah, Cube only comes out 10 seconds back from Christopher Craig, though. And, you know, has some possibilities of getting back some spots naturally. But you can see there James Foreman is fighting for his life in that 10th place spot. He made that spot on John Kelly, but John Kelly has not fallen away, as he stayed less than a second from him for the last 3 or 4 laps now.
Yeah, it's keeping the pressure on him.
Huber a little bit further away than he's been in the last couple. I don't think there will be any attempt into here. We still got 8 laps to go, but unfortunately, other than that pit exit after the first stint, we haven't seen anything that's gotten real close to working, I don't think, for Ken Huber, but he hasn't really, you know, unleashed anything yet. Meanwhile, as far as unleashing, Garcia, with no threat behind him right now and just some empty space in front of him on track, puts in another purple lap there of a 1:34.32, and has now actually brought that gap to the lead, or at least to second place there, down to 8.5 seconds. It's actually melting away, like over a second faster.
I'm going to say, these drivers, Paletti and Huber, keep racing, and where Paletti's taken, you know, some unusual lines to defend, which costs anywhere from half a second to maybe even a whole second, that's going to bring Adrian in this. I mean, it's a very much a long shot, but if Adrian can keep putting these laps in here, he can keep these guys under pressure and maybe force them into a mistake.
Well, I'll tell you what has me wondering is that Garcia here was 2 seconds slower than Huber was in the pit stop. Now, Paletti's 6.4 is a little weird because that it's kind of in the middle, but we didn't get to see the details of his pit stop. We know Huber didn't take tires, and potentially what happened is Paletti and Huber both not taking tires for this feature race, but Garcia did, and that's why he's got this pace right now, and he's actually lighting up the track as he's just continues to catch up to these guys. I just don't know if there's enough laps.
Yeah, I think that's his enemy here, as we see Huber gets a run, but I don't think he's going to go anywhere with it. Nope.
He's
again
putting a little bit of risk there, getting into those marbles there. Just it's going to be messing with his grip in that braking zone.
Yeah, and Adrian takes another 7/10 that lap. So if these guys keep doing what they're doing, I mean, it's going to be close. But I think Adrian will come up maybe like 2-3 seconds short.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even seen them lose time with battling yet. They haven't really gone side by side. If they go side by side, they're going to be losing even more time than they are now. So we'll have to keep our eye on that. But it does seem like maybe it's just a little bit too short a time for Garcia.
Yeah, as we see, Jeff McDonald has closed the gap to Travis Bell. A great run for Travis Bell, especially after the start there. Great bounce back, but he is under attack from Jeff right now.
Oh, and there's a spin. That's a Christopher Newby off the track on the outside. Doesn't look like it affected anybody. He's just losing those spots there. He's down to 9th. Will be safe from James Foreman, as he's got a pretty big cushion behind that now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. As we see, it looks like Huber's all over Paletti in the last sector. This is going to get really intense, I think, coming down the straight here. This is the closest he's been.
Stephen Thompson peeling to the inside, making that pit stop that he had to do eventually. And Ken Huber is just about exactly 3/10 as they come through the final corner.
Here he comes. Paletti goes to defend on the inside.
You don't even see Paletti. That's how far he's taking the inside. There was a lockup by Paletti as he goes deep. He goes off track. He's going to have to give up the position as he makes his way through the bollards. Ken Huber takes first place with the mistake from Paletti.
That's what I was afraid of. He was going to force Paletti into a mistake. And look at Adrian. He's got it under 6 seconds now.
Ken Huber not even really making a valid or a valiant attempt there in the entry, and just took the spot due to the mistake. I think Paletti maybe thought he was sending it harder than he really was.
Yeah, I think so. Man, when you take those odd lines, it lends you to make a mistake that you don't expect.
Kevin Bergquist here trying to get that spot from Zach Nuremberger. This is B-class runners against each other. And, of course, Zach Nuremberger may be able to come out of this event with the B-Class championship, but what Kevin Berquist is trying to do is get more points on Steven Thompson and get to that second place. He's currently running third place for the B-Class runners, which is 7th overall. Steven Thompson is only 11 points up in 4th and trying to get to him here. He's all over the back of Nuremberger coming into Lakaisha here. Don't think there's going to be a move in this moment. We haven't really seen any moves made into there. It's a bit of a stark contrast, I would say, to when we ran our preseason race and also E4A race here at Barcelona. We actually saw a lot of passes into Lakaisha in those GT3 cars. Has not been a popular passing opportunity here for these cars, though.
No, it hasn't. But Paletti has closed the gap back down. He is closing in Ken Huber here. And it's got it to about a second again. So I wouldn't say this race is over yet. And if they keep racing like this, I know we got only 5 laps left. Adrian is sitting there ready to go.
Looks like Kevin Berquist wasn't able to really catch up too much in that lap there as he lost a little bit of time there at the end. But staying there just 0.3 back. And at the front, Paletti has Ken Huber in sight. But 1.3, 1.4 seconds probably isn't enough to really stress out Huber too much at this moment. Still with 5 laps to go, though. Plenty of time to try to make that move. Oh, and that's a spin by Ken Huber.
No.
I cursed.
You cursed him.
Commentator's curse as Ken Huber nicks that wall as he rejoins. What's that going to do for... And why did Garcia lose so much time as well?
Garcia? Yeah, Garcia made a mistake.
There he is. It just hadn't updated yet as the live timing.
No,
Ken Huber's maybe going to lose a spot to Bell.
Garcia lost 5 seconds to the leaders. I don't know what happened.
Huber now down to 5th place as he falls behind Jeff McDonald. I don't think that he has any damage, but he would have hot tires. And what was looking like a great pass for first place has unfortunately turned into a 5th place position here as he tries to fight back to get onto the podium. Has that opportunity as long as he doesn't have too much damage to the car.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he hit anything. Jeff McDonald off.
Jeff McDonald able to rejoin, losing speed though.
Potentially. I don't know. He's a little far back.
Oh no, there's damage. There's damage to this car. You can see rear wings damage. The front suspension is dipping down wrong. It's going to be very tough, maybe for Huber to even hold this position with Paul Boyle 4 seconds back with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks like, just to wrap things up here, going into Repsol, Garcia went off track last lap, so that's where the 5-second deficit came from for him.
Here was Ken Huber.
Oh, clipped the curb a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah, we hadn't seen an incident there in that campsite
yet.
yet, and that is where that damage came from. You can see front wing is damaged, and we saw the rear wing damage there.
Yeah, so he's just trying to limp it to a 5th place finish here, I think. Although that will give him an advantage over Paletti in the second race. We'll have a couple cars in between him and start ahead of him. So maybe just thinking ahead to the next race now at this point. As we see Travis Bell. Oh my goodness. Travis Bell has got it under a second now to Garcia. This is going to get really good.
This was Christopher Craig narrowly avoiding a massive incident up the hill.
Yeah, something's up with Garcia. It didn't look like he got any damage when he went off in Repsol, but he is just under fire now from Travis.
It could be fuel as well. You never know. He has been running quite fast.
That's a very good point. What is going to happen with these drivers and their fuel as this race winds down here? I know that Paletti pitted a lap before some of these other drivers. I don't know about Garcia and Bell, what their strategy looks like.
Let's see, you can see there Garcia pitting on the same lap as the other guys who went the extra.
Okay.
But still, maybe an issue on fuel potentially. He has been running the fastest laps of this race, and maybe that just took a little bit too much out of the tank, but didn't lose too much here in these last couple sectors. It's just barely under a second. We're now down to 3 laps. Certainly has the time to catch up here. We'll see how he does.
Yeah, this is nose to tail here. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, fighting for that last 2 podium spots. This is what you want to see.
Kevin Berg was back there fighting with Zach Nuremberger again as well. Just 0.3 back, 14, losing some time there. Just hasn't been able to make that move. We've seen him compete. We've seen him be close. But that B-Class lead is certainly hotly contested as well.
Sure is, and every spot out there matters right now.
Oh, Nuremberger going through that corner, you could see he got a little loose, and then Kevin Burke was getting a little bit of air as he hits the curb. It looks like the tires on a lot of these guys' cars are not treating him well.
No, it's not. And Ken Huber is under attack from Paul Boyle here, just trying to limp it to the end here.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to hold that position, unfortunately. Wonder if it even drops to the point that these couple guys here, with 3 laps to go, are able to get up to that spot for Ken Huber. Oh, and that's off track for Stephen Thompson.
Yeah, his spin thankfully doesn't collect anyone. It's just going to limp it back to the pits here.
And there we go. Paul Boyle making his way around the damaged car of Ken Huber up to 5th place. Ken Huber, unfortunately, down to 6th. Nothing he could do. It's still better than him coming into the pits. So this is just the very painful, unfortunate reality that he has to live through in these last couple laps.
Yeah, and Adrian is now gapping Travis Bell again, so I don't think Travis is going to get a shot at Adrian. Adrian, really strong pace, and I think he's probably going to be kicking himself for that incident in Repsol, because who knows what he could have done with Paletti in these final laps here.
Yeah, it was certainly looking like he was going to be catching up to that couple of guys, and then Paletti, not only was he losing that time, but lost some more time when he had to avoid Ken Huber's car. So, but Paletti back on track potentially here, as long as he finishes it out the race here clean, back on track to start another streak to end the season here. Had an eight race streak going before he lost it in the sprint race of Zandvoort. So we'll see if he's able to start up another one for the end of the season here.
Yeah. I mean, he could potentially still get 12 heat wins on the season out of 14, which is just crazy. So this will be win number 9 if he can wrap it up here.
All doing that while typically having the least incident points in the field as well. So it has been a very impressive season for the already crowned champion. And, of course, all congratulations due to him there. And I'm sure we'll get to hear from him in the booth at some point tonight or in the next event, and we'll get to talk to him about that championship. But he just has a couple laps here to drive clean and come home with another win.
Yeah, in fact, the lowest incident count for any driver is 3 right now, and that goes to Bell and Foreman. So this race has not been very kind to these drivers and off tracks.
Christopher Newby here just trying to take that spot from Kevin Berkowitz. Looks like Kevin Berkowitz's attack on Zach Nuremberger has kind of fallen away with 2 laps to go and a second between them. But Newby coming out of nowhere here to try to get another spot, up 6 from starting at the very, very back. And he's on the front row of the reverse grid, but trying to get a couple more points here in the feature.
Yeah, trying to listen to some of these drivers' onboards to hear if there's any saving taking place. It seems like maybe Paletti is slightly saving, just a tiny bit at the end of the straights. Nothing major, though, by any of these drivers.
No, the pace is definitely off for a lot of them, though, it does seem. Garcia's still very fast out here with the 34. No one else doing 34s. It's pretty much 35s and 36s across the board, as Zach Nuremberger there making his way around Ken Huber as well. So
Kevin Berkowitz.
As I hypothesized, he may not even be able to keep it from these two. It does not look like he's going to. Kevin Berkowitz through, Christopher Newby through as well. And this is just a heartbreak for Ken Huber. If it had just happened a couple laps later, he'd be able to save a couple more of these positions.
Yeah, as much as it is awful for him, I mean, he's not racing for any points because he's not really in any battle in the points. This is going to benefit him majorly in the second race because he'll be starting second now.
Yeah, he's not out of the top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely has the pace, I think, to pull a big enough gap that I don't know if anyone's going to be able to touch him in the next race.
He, as it stands right now, as it looks, is James Foreman in the pits. I was about to say James Foreman was going to be on reverse grid pole, but he's coming to the pits. John Kelly is going to take it. Looks like James Foreman may be short on fuel.
Yeah, he had to be. Oh, man, that stinks.
So that opens up for Christopher Craig here, though. We got 1 lap to go. He's 6/10 back. This is for the reverse grid. Christopher Craig, can he get the position from John Kelly?
And we got to keep an eye on all these drivers on this last lap if anyone else is going to run out of fuel.
Interesting development for James Foreman, but yeah, a couple drivers may be hurting out here on that fuel strategy, as it was quite close. Shouldn't be quite as close there in the sprint race, but right here, This is Christopher Craig making the move on John Kelly.
Oh,
This is for the
wow.
reverse grid pole. This is going to get him first place in the sprint race. He makes the move, and a mistake by John Kelly behind
Oh.
nearly collides with Christopher Craig in front. Luckily, no collision between the two cars.
As we see Paletti come across the line as the winner of the feature race here.
That is a race win number 9 for Paletti as he crosses the line. Garcia Vigil, fastest man on the track with the fastest lap in this feature race, comes across in second. Travis Bell on his debut in third. Jeff McDonald in fourth.
Newbie's out. Newbie's out of fuel. Now he's going to cross the line. He's going to be all right, but he ran out coming out of the last corner there.
Well, that was taking it as close as he possibly could. Ken Huber wishing he would be able to get that spot back, unfortunately unable to do so. And it does look here, unless there's an unserved penalty for Christopher Craig, that this right here is going to be a reverse grid pole for him.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome for him.
Unfortunate last man out there for John Kelly as he finishes in 11th place. And Steve Cubay and Stephen Thompson, unfortunately, also unable to recover from early incidents that kept him out of the strategy.
Yeah, it's got to be heartbreak for James Foreman, who had that 10th spot till the fuel got him there.
Well, as we have a couple minutes of warm-up between the two heats, we will take just a couple-minute break, and we'll be right back with you. All right, we are back, and to run over the official results for that race as they get into their fast gridding procedure. Nicholas Paletti with the win there, win number 9, with Garcia finishing in second place and Bell in third. Jeff McDonald coming in fourth with Paul Boyle rounding out the top 5. Zach Nurnberger first for the B class in 6th with Kevin Berquist just behind him in 7th. Chris Newby 8th, Ken Huber 9th, and Christopher Craig in 10th. John Kelly 11th, Steve Cubay 12th, James Foreman 13th, Stephen Thompson 14th, and Dan Real unfortunately unable to finish the race there in 15th place.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be one of Paletti's more challenging races to come from the back. He's done it a lot this season, starting reverse grid in the back, but we'll see what happens as we get ready with the lights to go.
Gridding procedure already starting. 3 reds, 4 reds, 5 reds off the line. Great start for Ken Huber. Good start for Christopher Craig. Wow. Ken Huber may take the lead here into turn 1. Ken Huber's already ahead as they are side by side, just a 10th ahead. He's going to be first place. A lot of movement in the background. Zach Nurnberger trying to make some moves here on the start, trying to make his way past Newby. Cannot do so, but may slot into 4th ahead of Paul Boyle here.
Yeah, keep an eye out. I mean, we do still have the red flag.
That was wide by Kevin Berquist. Kevin Berquist with a spin, does not collect anybody else, only involving himself. You could see that happen as he went wide there in Elf. Able to keep going, though.
Yeah, he's got some damage, though, from that. That might require a pit. His front wing's pretty messed up.
I'm interested to see what his wing hit, because it looked like he was all right. We will check back on that event in just a little bit as we see the start of this race.
And Cubay lock up big time. There was almost a huge incident there.
You can see there Paletti losing ground to Thompson with those potentially overheated tires. And that is John Kelly back there as well, that unfortunate guy who had to start in 11th place, also keeping pace with these guys. Let's take a look at that Kevin Berquist incident at the start here in Elf. He's on the inside, gets pinned just a little bit, and just too much throttle.
Oh, no.
Clipped by Travis Bell there as they made their way through.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Bell got much damage out of that, but, man.
He had to be on the front right.
Yeah, I don't see any on Bell's. Could have been neck code or something on one end where one driver gets damage and the other doesn't. Huber's setting out, though. Already a half a second gap over Christopher Craig as we see a bunch of drivers just kicking up sand through there.
Yeah, Vahil wide and Bell followed suit. McDonald behind him as well, but McDonald a little bit less so as he was able to make that pass there on Bell. Bell seemed to just really get a lot of time there in that sand, losing that spot. We have had a lot of shakeup through this field with really no incidents. I had one unfortunate spin early on. Other than that, I mean, it has been intense racing through the start of this with no contact.
Yeah, and I feel like this is just going to continue. I mean, you have drivers out of position here on the grid as we see Steve Cubay putting a move on James Foreman into Repsol. What a move. If he can get that to stick.
It's going to be difficult. Does look like Foreman's got some pace on the outside now to the inside of Sayat. He's still going to be battling here. It looks like, Cubay is going to come out ahead on this one.
Foreman very respectful there. Could have definitely taken some more track and ran Cubay a little wide, but very respectful driving there, and Cubay gets the pass done.
And able to slot back in just ahead of Paletti. Not what Paletti would want to have happen. Paletti in 11th place, actually down one spot from where he started, which is not typical from what we've seen from him in those reverse grid situations where he starts further back. There he gets the move, though.
Huge contact. Paletti's got damage.
Paletti there made the move on Foreman. I'm not seeing the damage on his car.
Maybe it's just cosmetic, but there was definitely contact there if we take another look.
Oh, yeah, front right. You can just a little bit of a crinkle to that front right wing for him, and it looked like potentially worse for James Foreman behind. As it looked,
Foreman's got a lot of damage.
Yeah, Foreman just unfortunately losing control there in Lacaisha. I don't think he was turning in. The speed that we saw, it looked like he spun into him.
Yeah, it looked like spin under braking, and that happens, man. That happens a lot in these cars. So Paletti up to 10th, but Paletti is already 7 seconds back, so really losing precious time to Ken Huber. And I'll tell you what, Christopher Craig has not let Ken Huber pull away here.
Yeah, he lost the spot right off the line and has not let him get away since then. So Ken Huber obviously starting there on the front of the row and a little bit out of position. I mean, him being at the front was normal for the first race, but with an unfortunate incident starting at the front, we thought he'd be able to just walk away with this event here. But Christopher Craig actually keeping him honest. But Christopher Newby may be doing a little bit to throw a wrench in that, as they may start battling here soon in a couple corners.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, Newby's got some really strong pace. Just had some unfortunate things go wrong for him last race, and I think he's ready to make his mark here.
Yeah, I think he did everything he could, starting from the pits. And which I don't think that we'll be seeing anybody do that. I guess it depends on if Bell got any collision points for that incident there in turn 1. But clean
Jeff
start.
McDonald, black flag.
For incidents or?
No, only 2 incidents. I'm wondering. I'm gonna go back and take a look. Did he jump the start?
That is very possible.
He jumped the start big time.
Okay, let's.
He started rolling about 3 seconds before the rest of the field, so that will be what does it.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty bad. So Jeff McDonald, not even unfortunately a bad start off the line as well. And yeah, that black flag is so is that? But that's a black flag, not disqualified, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So he'll have I think it's a 40-second.
It's a big one.
I don't remember. It's a big one. You're right, and that's unfortunate because Jeff's up in 7th in that Ninja Botanicals car and having a good run. Just got it on the start, and it's really easy to try to anticipate those starts because I think it's pretty random how iRacing does it, and it's different every time. So.
Yeah, so McDonald here will be having to come in to take his pits and take that penalty. So it's a little surprised to not see him haven't already come in, but he's I assume coming in at this lap.
He has to come in this lap or face DQ. So
okay.
he better come in, or the police are going to come find him.
He's not giving up the position. He's really giving problems to Travis Bell and Steve Cubay here as Paul Boyle starts to pull an even further gap behind, and hopefully they know he's got to peel into the pits here. And he does.
There he is. So, we'll keep an eye. See, I am very curious to see how long that penalty is, so I'm going to keep an eye on that and see.
I think it's 40 seconds. So we'll have to, see what we see from him.
Craig, quicker than Huber again. This is awesome. Craig is having a really good drive here.
Yeah, there's close battles all throughout this field. Hasn't been a move made for position, and just a little bit here. But guys keeping it close. Another one as well. Adrian Garcia here, who was in 5th place. He started down in 9th and is all the way up to 5th already. He's up 4 spots. We've had a few guys up 4, him, Cubay, and Thompson, but he's the only guy to have started in the top 10 to do so.
And right now, it would seem that he might be the quickest car on the track. I mean, based off of what he was doing in the last race and everything, he's probably the biggest threat to Ken Huber. And the fact that Ken hasn't pulled away a lot more, I'd be a little nervous.
I mean, he literally is the fastest guy. He does have he's got the purple lap so far with a 1:34.73. But yeah, I mean, up at the front, Ken Huber's fastest lap 1:34.89. Christopher Craig 1:34.85. So faster best lap, which was both of their last laps there, for Christopher Craig.
Yeah, and looks like it is a 40-second penalty, so our suspicions were correct there for Jeff. So he'll just try to make the most of it and hope that some people crash in front of him, I think, to pick up some points.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, with a sprint race, reduced distance even, I mean, it already would have been nearly a death sentence in that feature race, especially given that we didn't see that many incidents. But with the shorter event, it's even worse.
Yeah, I tell you, top 3, actually, the top 4 drivers, you could throw a blanket under them as far as their lap times, within a tenth of each other. Wow.
Christopher Newby very close to the rear of Christopher Craig, as looks like Christopher Craig just a little bit of a mistake as he's lost a good amount of time to Ken Huber there in the first couple corners.
Yeah, that first corner really cost him quite a bit of time, so that's going to put him a little bit on the back foot here now and have to defend instead of focusing out his front windshield. And unfortunately, Paletti, who we thought maybe would get through the field a little bit quicker with his pace, he's only in 9th and kind of having a little bit of a trouble getting around Steve Cubay here, who we know Cubay is a very quick driver.
And we do also know, of course, that there is a little bit of minor damage to Paletti's car. I don't think it would be enough to affect him too terribly, but sometimes the small stuff really does have a large effect. And this is a difficult track. It tests everything on the car: slow speed, high speed, medium speed, and that could be something that's plaguing him until he gets to that pit stop range in this race.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how tough it was even for Fernando Alonso. I mean, one of the best drivers in the world this year. So I think that's just puts further proof out there that this is one of the harder tracks.
Demands a little bit of everything, and yet at that, despite that, these guys have really answered the call.
Where's Paletti?
Into the pits. So he's into the pits. I think he maybe has just hit that that pit stop spot. He's getting that damage repaired as he
Christopher Newby. He's
in.
got the job done on Christopher Craig.
Yeah, and Zach Nuremberger very close to try to pounce and get another spot here. I don't think that he's going to have the run to do so. But yeah, let's take a look.
Fighting back, Christopher Craig.
Christopher Craig into Repsol, backing out of it.
Oh man, Nuremberger's all over him.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to make a move here in Seat, though. It's going to have to file into single
Adrian
file.
goes inside.
He actually sends it deep behind.
Goodness. He got him. He's going to get him.
No contact, and Vihil looks like he's going to be able to get that spot from Nuremberger. He's been hounding him for laps. Now coming up through Campsite. He's still fighting back, though. Nuremberger not one to ever give up.
Oh, my goodness. He's just giving it all of its worth. That is some fantastic driving for both of those guys not to hit each other.
Yeah, wonderful attacking for Vihil. Keeping it clean. Great defense for Nuremberger. A bit of a shade to the inside there. Nothing doing. And they're back in line. But taking a look at that move that Newby made on Christopher Craig into turn one. Pretty deep, pretty far back.
Yeah, confident on the brakes.
Yeah, really hanging that outside line. Difficult to do, but easier to do so on the fresher tires earlier in this race rather than, I think that line becomes a little bit more untenable as we get further into the event.
And we got more drivers pitting here. Nuremberger, Bell, and Cube all coming in. I think they realized they couldn't really go anywhere in that pack, so doing the Paletti strategy and trying to get some clean racetrack. And this will be really interesting to see where they come out in relation to Paletti if Paletti gets around any of them.
And obviously, they're not running out of fuel because we've seen how far they can go. They can't go the whole race, but they can go 16, 17 laps. So that is all very strategy focused there as they make that stop. 3 drivers. Stephen Thompson here trying to get the move on Kelly.
Paletti looks like he's not going to get anyone there. So he's still, he got Cube, so he's going to have to get a couple more drivers on the track here. So he's got his work cut out for him.
And some fast drivers in front of him as well. Garcia now ahead of Christopher Craig. So he has made his way into 3rd place. Christopher Craig still doing well in that 4th place spot, but Garcia, one of the fastest guys on track, and no surprise to see him charging through the field. Ken Huber has that 2.5 second advantage to Christopher Newby behind, but like you said, Garcia may be his biggest competitor here, and still with 15 laps to go, that's plenty of time for Garcia to try to catch up to the front there.
Yeah, we'll see if there's some Castrol Racing team orders here, if Christopher Newby will yield for Adrian.
Here was the move. Oh, wow. That was deep.
Yeah.
I think that was into Seat there even. We have seen some brave moves into that corner, and his teammate locking up in front of him as well as he does, but still gets it slowed down enough.
Yeah, it looks like Adrian's going to have the run coming down the straight here. Well, maybe petered out a little bit, but you have to wonder if they are teammates, will Newby yield for him here?
Not doing it here, that's for sure. Pulls out a little bit to get some clean air. No movement for Christopher Newby, but it looks like it's going to happen here.
He's going to get the cutback on him, maybe? Oh, man.
He's stuck outside. Great placement for Newby as he forces Garcia to stick his car to the outside. Is he going to try a deep braking into Repsol? I don't think it's going to happen. Not going to work there for him. Actually, maybe it will. He keeps it stuck to the inside. Now he's going to be the outside here for Seat. It'll be a brave move. We've seen him make a pass here on Nuremberger earlier.
Newby locks up. He places his car perfectly, though.
Yeah, good defense for Newby so far with his car placement. Forcing Garcia all over the track without really having to do a whole lot himself.
Oh, wow. He almost hit him there.
Yeah, slow up through Campsa.
This is some incredible racing we're getting to watch here right now. I'm loving this.
Looks like there's not going to be a move down here in the Kaisha, so yet again, not a passing opportunity for these guys. But he's going to try to set something up here. As you can see at this time, last lap, Ken Huber was 0.6 closer than he is now, so they're really losing a lot of time to that leader by this squabbling they've got further back. Of course, always keep in mind, yeah, that's what I was about to say. You could always take the pit because you don't have to pit at any specific time. You just have to have done it late enough, and it clearly is. Lock up, though.
Wow, that was close on speeding. He got it down in time, but that was close. The thing is, he's got his work cut out for him. I mean, he's got about 3.5 seconds. If he can at least get Newbie in the pit cycle here, that'll unleash him to try to chase down Huber. Oh, he missed his pit. Oh, he missed his pit. Oh, that's going to cost him a ton of time.
Oh, that is horrible. Hopefully not as bad as we had in the E4A race last week. Had a driver.
Oh, he's going to lose a spot to even. Oh, yeah, man, he is dropping way down. Yeah.
Ninth.
That's a heartbreak for Adrian right there.
We'll see what he's able to do with it here. Obviously, didn't pick up any damage from it, but just an unfortunate mistake. But we did have a driver last week in E4A. Unfortunately, missed their box, reversed to try to get back into it, and got themselves kicked out of the server. Not by admins, but by iRacing themselves, just automatically doing that as a precaution. So it could be worse. It could always be worse.
Yeah, I always wonder why they do that. I mean, because your car's invisible when you're in your pit box, so I don't understand why they DQ you, but it is what it is.
So this opens up some opportunities for some guys on that fringe of the podium positions. And Paul Boyle here was sitting there looking like maybe he was going to be looking at 4th or 5th, and that has opened up a little bit for him now with the mistake in the pits by Vahil.
Absolutely, and it looks like we watched the lap times come across here. Huber puts a 35.3 in, Newbie puts a 35.6, so Huber continuing to draw the gap further here.
Yeah, a lot of consistency across the field, though. Those top 4 guys, top 5 guys, all putting in pretty similar pace. We're not seeing them all over the board at this point. And obviously, they're all going to be on the same tire strategy. Not a long enough race that I imagine anybody took tires in that stop earlier.
Yeah, I wouldn't think in this short race. I think in the last race it made sense to take the tires because I think this track is pretty hard on the tires. As we see Travis Bell thinking about a move, I think he's going to back out though. Not quite close enough.
Yeah, you could tell the way he pulled out, just a little bit lazy. Wasn't trying to make anything happen. Steve Cubay there, however, despite everyone else running those 35s, at 34.6 for Steve Cubay, who's currently in 10th place.
Here comes Bell. He's got another run. Will he try to put a move into Repsol?
Unable to make it happen through there. Brave defense for Nürnberger, just hoping that he wasn't going to run into the back of him. And yeah, this is going to at least take a couple more corners.
Adrian. Oh, poor guy. Just hit the wall.
This is right behind them through Repsol. Oh, yeah, and then just trying to get it going.
That's the one that really did him in there. It looks like he's going to retire.
Yeah, that is a very unfortunate evolution of his race over these first 11 laps here. Christopher Newby now into the pits, so just a few drivers so far who have not done so. Looking
it
at
looks
our
like it's going to be
here.
the top 4 here. Thompson's the last guy not to pit, so...
Everyone else having already made their stop and made their stop on strategy, except maybe McDonald and Berquist. Probably. I mean, they came in, you'd think, well, I don't know, 5, that's going to be, we only saw people take it 17 laps in the feature, so that does seem maybe unlikely for McDonald and Berquist.
He had damage. He did have damage. Both of them did. So that makes me think that's probably why they pitted early.
Yes, for sure. I don't think that they'll make it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so. I know they were trying to probably make it to that first stop, but you also lose so much time out there doing that. But it looks like Newbie's going to come out still as the first guy on tires and followed by Nürnberger and Bell here. Or not tires, but rather pit stop.
And Bell is trying so hard to get around Nürnberger here. And, it always makes you wonder, like, where would we have even been if, what if Jeff McDonald, Jeff McDonald, he had to pit because of the penalty, of course. But if McDonald hadn't held him up, maybe Bell would have been able to get by Nürnberger by this point. but Nürnberger putting up a stout defense and not going all over the track to make that defense either. Just strong placement like we saw from Newby earlier.
Oh no, Paul Boyle. Oh, that's a big one. He's not gonna hit anything, but that's gonna cost him at least a solid 10 seconds. Oh, and he loses it again. Oh.
Yeah, it looks like he'd be okay here. And just trusting those tires too much.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So that drops him to 4th as Stephen Thompson now up into 3rd place. Travis Bell, he can't quite make it happen there. Not a passing opportunity. He's going to have to back off and maybe even losing enough momentum to not make the attempt here into turn 1. Let's see. Oh, and he nearly loses it. He saves it behind Nicholas Paletti, though. Potentially going to get that spot from him as he didn't have to fix the tank slapper. And I think he's going to... Oh, this is going to be close into turn 1 here. Paletti deeper on the outside. Yeah, he's got the spot.
Yeah, he gave it to him. Didn't want to fight him anymore. Good teammate move there. But, man, what a save by Bell. Because, I mean, we saw what happened to Real in the first race there. It's very easy to overcorrect and put your car in the wall there.
Yeah, that was a scary moment for him there in the car. But came out of that alive.
Yeah, here's the interesting thing to keep an eye on. I don't know what kind of times Newby's doing right now, but Craig, half a second quicker than Huber last lap. So, I mean, I don't know if Huber's just kind of taking it easy out front. I mean, the times he's running are 35.5s. I think he's just playing it safe. I don't think he's pushing too hard.
Yeah, we saw him do a lot faster than that in the feature race for sure. And his fastest lap so far, 34.8. You know, a decent amount faster than that. So, not really sure, what the situation is, but certainly. And there we go. Ken Huber responding with a 34.9 there to Christopher Craig's 35.
Talking.
Yeah. So especially a strong sector
lap.
3.
Yeah, it's his best lap in a while. So very good sector 3 from him.
Nicholas Paletti here, trying to potentially get this spot from Zach Nürnberger. Was able to get around Travis Bell due to the mistake, and Nürnberger's been fighting off Bell for a while. Will he be able to fight off Paletti? He's going to take the inside. We know Paletti likes to take the inside on this corner here. He's going to rejoin the racing line. I think he doesn't expect much of an attack here.
A little bit too far back, but probably setting him up for the maybe Repsol. I don't know if he could get a move done there or not. I mean, he's pretty close.
He just looks a little bit more glued to the ground behind Nürnberger there, but where are you going to go? I mean, you can't hanging around the outside there, so try to get some slipstream, down into Repsol. Maybe a possibility for him here. He's going to take it to the outside, deeper on the brakes.
Oh.
I don't think it's going to happen here for him.
Yeah, not quite. He's got the traction, though, to possibly come back at him here. Oh, Zach goes for a very defensive line. That was a good move. Oh, it's going to put him on the back foot here. Oh, good car placement. Paletti can't get a run on him.
Yeah, this has been a showcase for Nürnberger over these last few corners here without even really locking up the tires. A little bit wide there in the uphill. I don't know if he's going to do anything here. Paletti changes his mind. Doesn't want the inside. He's going to take it the outside, maybe for a switcheroo. He's got to run here.
Wow. Bell's just chilling back there. Here comes Paletti.
Here in the Lakaisha, haven't really seen any moves made. Looks like Nürnberger is going to have to hold that inside. He's going to be able to do so. And a spin by Paletti.
No.
Bell not involved.
Oh.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, the car just snapped on him. You have to think maybe the tires are a little hot from all those switchback moves. I don't know.
He's definitely stressing him behind.
Or does he cut in a little bit here and the car just wasn't... I don't know.
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it really does. And good on Bell to avoid that.
So he's back on track trying to recover as he's lost the spot to Bell, Cube, and Kelly. Now down in 10th place.
Greg, 7/10 quicker that lap than Huber. Cutting into that lead a little bit more.
And that was a particularly slow lap for Huber, nearly 36 seconds. And that was Zach Nürnberger just ran a 36.08, and we saw him all over the track defending from Paletti there. So I don't know if there's maybe a mistake involved in that lap for him there or not.
Yeah, it's very uncharacteristic.
Paul Boyle made that mistake earlier that let Stephen Thompson get through, but has started to catch back up a little bit and trying to get to this, what may be a podium spot.
Yeah, the thing is, these drivers still need to pit. I think they're going to lose out to quite a few of the guys behind them.
Yeah, it's hard because you're seeing the times all across the board, and we've got guys who've made that stop already that are running plenty quick right now. Steve Cubey is especially a guy who's been one of the fastest guys on the track, and just very interested to see where he comes shaking out of this order, as we've still got 4 guys to come in. The longest stint we saw in the feature race was 17 laps, so the longest we're going to see these guys go more is just 1 or 2 laps.
Yeah, and so these guys are just running the car to the end, so trying to get that advantage of clean track or hotter tires, but man, I don't know what we can expect here.
Yeah, a variety of strategies that we've seen so far, and I'm interested to see which one of these works out best, and don't have much of a guess.
John Kelly getting under attack by Paletti.
Yeah, I think Kelly, knowing this is not really the battle between these 2 guys. It's been a bit of a rough race for Paletti. It didn't even really start out that well, honestly, and it just hasn't had too much positive happening. So I alluded to a potential streak restarting. It does not seem like that is going to be the case here today. He got the win in the feature race. I don't think he's going to follow it up with a second win here in the sprint.
No, but he's got 2 more attempts next week at our last track of the season to try to get the 10+ wins on the season, which would be a huge accomplishment on his part at Imola.
Yeah, very much a driver's track. This is a driver's track as well. Difficult, and has everything it needs to put on a good race and give these drivers a challenge. So it is done so today, and the drivers have answered that call. And we'll see how that works out for him in a couple weeks. Still 6 laps to go in this race here, though, and then a lot to shake out as we've still got pits to be made. Paul Boyle coming into the pits there at the end of his lap 15. Everyone else still going out one more.
What a lap by Steven Thompson. He has picked it up a lot, and so has Ken Huber. Ken Huber has answered the call, so putting a little bit of a gap back up there.
Yeah, Huber is keeping it in a window of pace here, and it does seem like he's metering it.
Huber way off in the last corner. That's going to cost him quite a bit of time. He'll be racing Paul as Paul comes out of the pits. I think he would have went
on the
off
side
there,
of the screen.
He would have had the spot. Yeah.
So Cubey is about a second back. Well, that's more like half a second back. And yeah, it definitely would have had that position were it not the mistake in that final corner. And it just goes to show just one mistake what that can do. So Boyle slotting back into 7th there. Of course, had that spin earlier. And now is going to be potentially on a bit of a defense here from Cubey as he's got 4.5 seconds to make to get to Bella up ahead.
And unfortunately, Newbie, who's the first guy that has made his pit stop, he's had a rough lap or 2. And I think any chance of catching Huber is starting to slip away from him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know soon because Huber's just coming into the pits. So let's track him as he comes in for his pit stop here. It's going to be a quick splash and dash. Christopher Craig behind Steven Thompson as well. Yes, so Steven Thompson.
Everyone's in. So everyone will have made their pit stop now. We'll see where everything shakes out. Ken Huber comes in, make sure he doesn't miss his box. Gets that fuel put in real quick, and he should be away. Oh, as we see Christopher Craig come slide into his box behind him.
And a purple lap for Jeff McDonald in the back of the field there. So here's Ken Huber rejoining the racetrack. Christopher Craig obviously behind, and Christopher
the
Craig
race is for second here.
Yeah, Christopher Craig's going to stay in second place here ahead of Christopher Newby.
Yeah, so Ken pulled even a larger gap there.
Here's the move. The Travis Bell finally making the attack on Zach Nurnberger. I don't think Nurnberger's going to be able to fight back here. It seemed inevitable, and it has now happened. So Nurnberger's still running a great race here, and it was the highest finisher in the B class in the feature race.
Yeah, and now with that move that Bell has completed, he can go and try to get another podium here. So see what he can do.
Yeah, Huber with a 6-second lead on Christopher Craig. It did seem like Craig was slow in his box. Not really his fault, because I think that Huber's car was obstructing his view a little bit and just wasn't really sure where his box was. So Huber able to get into his box a lot faster, and I think that's shown already just in this last this exit section here, as he's now extended another 3 seconds from what we saw beforehand.
Yeah, it looks like I mean, looking at the replay here, it looks like Christopher Craig didn't miss his box. I mean, he stops pretty good in his box there.
That's Paul Boyle there
Just a-
spinning in the
oh,
uphill of Verth.
yeah, that's an interesting spin there.
Losing a good amount of time there, and now down to 10th place for Paul Boyle. It was in 7th when he had come out of the pits. So giving a couple guys some positions, and it's still, with 4 laps to go, completely unknown how any of this is going to end up. I think that Huber's probably got a strong grasp on the victory. A lot of the other positions, not so much.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, we're going to have to do some work to figure out who the overall winners in both classes are here. This race has just turned everything upside down.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, I mean, like as it were to finish, Zach Nuremberger with 2 finishes there in the the 5th, 6th kind of range, but then Christopher Craig with a 10th and a 2nd. I think Nuremberger may have more points from it. Yeah, we got to do some math before we kind of speak out the results here.
I think the crazy part is I'm pretty sure Bell's going to get the A overall with a 3rd in the first race and a 4th here. Because Paletti's got an 8th and a 1st, so I think Bell's going to get the A win, which is a great job in his debut.
Yeah, very likely. Again, we saw Ken Huber, who's potentially going to win this race here. He finished 9th after a late incident in that feature race, so he's kind of out of it as well. And yeah, very likely. And Bell may be able to get his way onto the podium here as he's slowly trying to catch up.
He's closing him down considerably.
Yeah, we've got, I mean, they're coming up to one of the final laps here. There we go, hit lap 20. So 4 laps to go, 20 through 23, and we'll see. He's got 3 seconds to make up. If he can catch up, it still has to be a pretty good pace that he's got to make up on newbie ahead. Just about a second a lap. Meanwhile, further back, Paletti trying to claw back some positions here, trying to get up to Steve Cubet. Cubet wants to get that spot up to Thompson. Thompson is in 6th place, so started 8th, not due to a reverse grid situation. He had a horrible first race, unfortunate with the first incident that he couldn't do anything to avoid. Not his fault in the slightest, and has done well so far in this race to make up those spots just purely on pace.
Absolutely. What a strong run from him.
Quarter spin by Cubet there. Gets it going again.
That's going to cost him that spot there, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's where we saw Garcia have an incident earlier in this heat. And unfortunately, that one ended up he just slowly taking him into the wall. But Cubet doing a good job of hammering those brakes to get it stopped. But, yeah, unfortunate to lose that position as it was starting to heat up between those two guys.
Absolutely. I think, oh man, I don't know. Newbie has really closed Craig down here. I don't know. I think he might get him. We'll see.
Yeah, he's definitely been catching up. The move, you still got to make the move. As fast as you can be, you still got to make an overtake, and that is another key to the puzzle here. But he's been catching up a little bit lap by lap. 35.8 for Craig. Meanwhile, behind 0.5 faster for Newbie. Not enough here into this braking zone. Let's see what Craig's able to do on the defense. We've seen Newbie put up a good defense earlier in this event, and we'll see if Craig's able to do a similar kind of job.
Yeah, I mean, Craig has really, really impressed me here. I think this is probably his best drive of the season. Started on pole and is running second this whole race, and honestly, at times has had better pace than Ken Huber. So, really solid drive from him.
I mean, his fastest lap is faster than Ken Huber up there at front. And not just that, but I mean, it's competitive with the rest of the field as well.
I think he's definitely one of the drivers that has grown the most out of anyone this season from the beginning. So really hats off to him.
He just has a couple more laps to take it to the end here. Newbie not making as much of an impression on this lap as he did on the previous. But the closest they got is, of course, down into turn 1 using that draft. A little bit of a shallow angle for Newbie to take there. And I wonder if he's trying to avoid some dirty air. And we've seen some incidents potentially from some dirty air in that corner of Lacaisha there.
Yeah, and Craig wants to hold on to this position because it's very close between him and Zach for the overall win based on points for B.
And between
So
him and Thompson in the overall standings.
yeah, exactly. So there's a lot at stake here. So it's got to do his best to defend.
He's got about a half-second advantage. It looks like he's actually probably a little bit further ahead than he was the previous lap. And yeah, on the previous lap, it was 100th slower than, or he was 100th faster actually than Christopher Newby. So matching him there in that lap. 2 laps to go. We're on lap 22. Huber still staying strong out there in front. Has actually lost the advantage a little bit. Dropped it down to 5.5 seconds, but he's probably taking it a little bit easy at this point.
Yeah, I think that's just a max for Verstappen, consistent. All right, I don't need to push anymore. I'm good. Just cruise home to the victory.
A lot of drivers within a second and a half, but with 2 laps to go, that's really just not enough time for most of these guys to make a position. So, and with Newbie falling back now to closing in on or growing up to almost a second here, this may be our finishing order.
Yeah, I mean, this is the closest battle on track, and I'll tell you, I mean, we got all of our action, it looks like, at the beginning of this race, because, man, they had some incredible side-by-side battles throughout. I mean, there was some that lasted almost the entire lap, which you wouldn't expect at this track. So really hats off to all these drivers here tonight. As we see Paul Boyle dropping down a position, something happened there.
Another incident up the hill through Verth.
That corner really does not like him.
It's plagued him so far. And Christopher Newby into the pits. He couldn't make it on fuel. Christopher Newby was maybe just trying too hard to catch up. Can Christopher Craig make it to the end? They've got the white flag. Ken Huber across the line. No one else coming into the pits on an emergency. This puts Travis Bell there up into third as well. Elevates Zach Nuremberger's points, which is not what Christopher Craig would want. Christopher Craig would probably prefer Newby hounding him for this final lap, as it gives him a little bit of a buffer to his B-class competitors back there.
Yeah, it's interesting because Newby pitted on lap. Well, I'm really confused.
He was one of the first ones.
Just seems kind of odd there.
In the pits as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe there's a drive-through with either of them as well.
I can understand. Well, no drive-through for Newby. Okay. Berquist was the guy who had to pit at the beginning because he had damage.
Yeah, good
which
point.
we knew about, but the Newby one doesn't make sense to me at all. I'll have to do a little more digging on what happened there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's going to drop him all the way down to 9th place. And probably not going to be any variation from that result there. As we're following Ken Huber with a 5-second lead through the final couple corners here, is looking to take home a victory here in this sprint race. Ken Huber with a event win already on the season, but no heat wins. He doesn't have any heat wins. He won last event, but he's going to come home today with a shiny gold trophy for first place. Ken Huber finally crossing the final corner, across the finish line. Ken Huber is your victor with a 5-second lead over Christopher Craig, not only second overall, but first place in the B class from that reverse grid pole. Wonderful result for him. Travis Bell.
Zach Nuremberger. Huge crash in the last corner. And he just could have cost him.
Nuremberger, who doesn't quite have the I don't think
he'll clinch now.
It didn't quite have the clinch, I don't think. If it wasn't, it was extremely close, but this is not going to help his case. And it is certainly not going to be good news for Christopher Craig yet again, as Craig is desperately trying to catch up to Stephen Thompson. And with a great result, unfortunately, Stephen Thompson's still there in fourth.
Oh, man. What a lot of action there at the end. Oh, that's going to be heartbreak for Zach. Someone will have to let him know that his championship will have to wait another week, I think.
Yeah, Zach Nuremberger here. This is him coming around the final corner. What in the world happened?
The curb launched him. He
was a little bit too far out, and yeah, just mounted the curb. Let's see if we can get another view of that. Wow, that is interesting that we haven't seen anybody do that yet.
No. Very strange crash.
And that didn't help it either, of course. And Jeff McDonald here did stay on the lead lap, crossing the line and finishing out this race. with a pretty wild start and finish to this sprint race here, as the results were all over the place, and Stephen Thompson ended up climbing up 10 spots after a rough sprint feature race.
Absolutely. I'm going to verify that we have the correct winners here.
Yeah, while you
So
do that,
bear
I
with
will
me
bring up
here.
the feature results for our overall. So, first place in our sprint race today, Ken Huber with a first heat win of the season. Has the event win, but this is his first heat win on the season, with Christopher Craig there coming in second overall, first for the B class, and that is also his first heat win in the B class. Not only that, it's his first podium even. So wonderful result for Christopher Craig today. Travis Bell on debut with the podium himself in third place. Stephen Thompson all the way up to fourth from 14th, and Nicholas Paletti rounding out the top five. Following those guys, Steve Cubay comes in sixth. John Kelly finishing third in that B class and seventh overall. Christopher Newby, Paul Boyle behind them. Zach Nurnberger finishing 10th overall. He may have the lock on the championship. If not, it's close, but it shouldn't affect his season too much. James Foreman is at 11th place with Kevin Berquist in 12th. Jeff McDonald 13th. Garcia in 14th. And Real did not start the race, finishing in 15th place.
Yes. So looking at the results, actually came down to safety points, and with the feature being weighted a little bit more, Paletti is actually going to take the A win tier tonight over Travis Bell, and then Christopher Craig will take the B win. So we'll talk to both of those drivers here. Actually, we'll talk to Paletti first. Paletti, you got a copy?
I got you.
So talk us through that exciting first race there with Ken Huber, the back and forth. You got to talk us through that battle. It looked amazing to watch.
That first race was that was tough. I think on the line, I think Zach came on the radio and said, "Oh, we don't have enough fuel to make it to the end," or at least on one stop. So everybody, I guess, knew at that point we had to save at least like half a lap or a lap to make it to the end. So it was a battle of saving fuel and saving the rear tires, because by the end of that, I mean, the rears were just gone. I mean, you saw my lockup, and with Ken losing the rear going through there, I mean, the rears were just gone. So you had to save the rears, do a fast lap, and at least I was saving that second stint. I'm guessing Ken probably saved it the first stint because he went that extra lap. But I mean, it was intense.
In that sprint race, it looked like a pretty tough start off the line. You know, a lot of the times you've been on reverse grid 10th a lot so far this season with a good number of wins in the feature races. Typically, you've been able to carve your way through the field even in that first lap, but it looked like the first lap was pretty tough tonight. You know, what was the difficulty off the line here?
I just got a terrible start. I usually practice a standing start in between the races just to get myself reaccustomed to it. I didn't this time, and I dropped the clutch way too fast, and the rears just lit up. I mean, I didn't spin it around, which was good, but by then I had already lost a spot, and I mean, it was really tough to pass here. So tried the undercut, didn't work. Tried passing, that didn't work either. So it was a tough sprint race.
Well, with your performance here tonight, you have actually clinched the A championship. Actually, I think you had it clinched even coming in, but just to add further points to your total, tell us about your season. I mean, congratulations on getting your first ever O4A championship.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, this has been a really fun season. There's been a lot of really fun races. The fuel saving in the first few races was so much fun, and there's been so many great battles on track. There's so many fast guys that I think if they would have had better luck, they still would have still been in this the fight for the championship. So I consider myself very lucky for this one, that things kind of went in my way. But you know, it's a great series, a lot of fast guys, and you don't get this kind of close racing in E4A. So this kind of fills that itch of wheel to wheel battles.
Now, next week or next event, we have at Imola a great, very difficult drivers track and a finale to the season here. Obviously, you've got the championship locked away, but what are you looking forward to in that race at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix?
I'm just looking forward to some battles there. I mean, I know it's not the best track for overtaking, but I think it's decent in F3 cars. So I'm just looking forward to having another fun race. I mean, I don't think I've walked away from one of these O4A races kind of upset. It's always been fun and enjoyable. So I'm just looking forward to not having any pressure and maybe do some cheeky dive bombs. Probably not, but we'll see.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully you can get that record of getting over 10 heat. Or yeah, you're at 9 heat wins right now in the season, so you'd be going for 10, which I'm sure is a number you'd like to see. So we wish you the best of luck next week at Imola.
All right, thank you very much, and I appreciate both you guys doing the broadcast. It's been amazing this season. Can't wait to watch it tomorrow.
All right, thank you
All
very
right.
much. You have a good night, Nick.
All right, I'm not seeing Christopher Craig. I don't know if we want to talk to Ken Huber, who won the overall race or the sprint race here, the second race.
All right, let's go for it.
All right. Hey, Ken, you got a copy?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. I mean, man, you had an amazing first. I know you won the second one, but talk us through that first race battle with Paletti there. I know it didn't go your way there at the end, but looked very exciting to watch.
Yeah, it was exciting for both of us. Yeah, I kind of threw that one away, so I kind of feel bad for the guys in the second heat because that put me in the transfer spot. I had a lot of damage after that, but yeah, that race, I focused on just taking care of the tires, and it did seem to come to me towards the end of that run. And I was gaining on Nicholas, but gaining on him and passing him are two different things. And then, he made that mistake going into one, and I thought I had him, and then I was feeling confident. And yeah, I caught that curb and lost the rear on it and did a bunch of damage, and that kind of threw me out for that feature.
What was your difference in approach there for that sprint race? Because I noticed that you were running really consistent lap times up at the front, but they were slower than you were doing in that feature race. Was the track just not as conducive for that kind of pace, or were you taking it a little bit easy because you were out in front and just trying to maintain that lead?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think the track wasn't going that well. I noticed during practice when I was able to get a fast lap right in the first couple of the opening session, first couple of minutes, and I think that's because there was not much rubber on the track. But I think just the cars going around the track in the heat of the day just slows the cars down. I was struggling a little bit, but I wasn't going full tilt either. So it was just I don't know. I know Christopher Craig. I want to give a shout out to Christopher Craig because he qualified in that first spot after the transfer, and I was able to get the jump on him, and he did a great job finishing second. And if I hadn't had my issues in the feature, I'd have been back there with Paletti, and he'd have probably grabbed that win on that second race.
Absolutely. So as we get ready to go to the last race in 2 weeks at Imola, talk us through how you feel about that track. I know it's not a super common track that's run on the iRacing service, but talk us through what you think about that track.
Yeah, I am pretty decent there. I've mostly ran that track in the GT cars. I haven't ran in these open wheels, but I feel like it's going to be a lot like this one. A lot of fast corners and managing those rear tires, and that's kind of what this track was about, was managing those rear tires so you had something at the end. And yeah, so that's kind of what I feel about Imola, but we'll see. I don't know. I have to put down some laps, see what happens.
Well, congratulations again on that first heat victory of the season here tonight, Ken. And we look forward to another strong performance from you and Imola. You have a good night.
Yeah, great job, guys. I really appreciate this.
Thank
So
you
you
very
guys
much.
do a great job out there in the booth. I just want to say that.
Appreciate it. Love it.
I appreciate it.
All right, later, guys.
All right, have a good one. And
We got Christopher
looks
Craig.
like it looks like he's there. He said his mic's not working. Don't know if we're able to really do much with that.
Not much we can really provide as for an interview, unfortunately. Do we know if Zach Nuremberger has qualified with the points in that feature race? Did he secure the championship from?
Yeah, let's take a look here.
Because he's
Do
in
it
the
on the
booth.
fly.
I want to know that before we.
Yeah.
He needed 7 points on Stephen Thompson. They were pretty.
Oh, he's got 59 points on Kevin Berquist, and I think the max you can gain in a race is 57. So yes, Zach has clinched if we want to talk to him.
Absolutely.
All
he
right, let's
just
get him in.
left. He just
Oh,
wait. Let's give him a ping real quick, because we got to talk to him because he just secured the championship. But Zach Nurnberger just narrowly able to secure that victory here today. He is there. There he is in the waiting room. Pull him in.
all right, Zach. Do you have a copy?
Yep, got you guys.
All right. So you have officially, after doing some quick math here, you've clinched the championship. Even if you don't show up next week, you've got it. So congratulations. Talk us through your season, man. It's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of close battles, especially with Paletti. So talk us through your season, man.
Yeah, it's just it's been a lot of fun. I think that those first couple races, just being able to pull off some different strategies at the fuel saving and that kind of stuff. Obviously gave me the edge a little bit, I think, along with Pletty, and had some of those good moments. Latter half of the season, I've kind of just been running the middle. I mean, this was kind of a race for me until I smoked that sausage curve and decided to make it interesting for you guys. I think that lost me the overall win too, but yeah, I mean, I think this was just all about consistency this season and just keeping the nose clean as much as I could.
Did you ever have that kind of collision happen in any of your practice laps? I mean, we never saw any. It seems like it would be something that would happen more frequently, but we never saw anybody hit the curb like that. And it was pretty devastating to the car.
Yeah, I think actually, if I would have been even further left, I would have been fine because I could have would have went just pro skater 50-50 grind over the top, and just kind of tracked it off into the dirt. But I think I hit it just perpendicular to my front left tire. So like when I hit it, my whole car just snapped left. So I think actually, but taking even more curb probably would have been a little bit safer. But yeah, it was just weird. And then never had that one before. But it is what it is. That's racing, and luckily I was able to get the championship all wrapped up, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, you've had a great season, man. Congratulations. Now, as we look to next week, or I guess 2 weeks from now, we head to Imola, a track that's not superly common on the iRacing service. How do you feel about going there? Do you feel like it's a strong track for you?
I've raced it, but mostly prototypes and GT3s, that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's very technical. A lot of high speed stuff, and I think that's going to be one of those tracks where just kind of making it to the end, is going to be the most important thing. A lot of spots to lock up, a lot of slowdowns and canes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think the more technical drivers are really going to like this one, but maybe not the closest racing that we'll see. But you know what? I've been wrong plenty of times before, so it's a lot of fun. And I think this will be the first time I've actually tackled an open wheel car, so always get to learn some new stuff.
Well, congratulations on that sealing of the championship victory here today. And it does look like second place overall will probably be the likely finishing spot for you as well. So, again, congratulations on those results. And we look forward to hearing from you again in a couple weeks at Imola.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night, Zach. And that was our B-class champion, Zach Nurnberger there. So, again, wonderful race that we had here today at Barcelona as our penultimate round. In 2 weeks, if you're here for O4A, same time, we have the final round, the finale at Imola. If you're here for E4A, we still got 2 more rounds of that with Road America coming up next week. So that is from Pony Express here, signing off. Have a good night, everyone.